I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction. Here with your 3-minute cattle market update for Wednesday, June the 14th, where we see our cattle feeders caving in now already. Just Monday and Tuesday, we've already had some fat cattle trade quite a bit lower as the heat is just kind of taking the starch out of everybody and just not believing they can hold the market any longer. And they're probably right, but they're sure right if they start giving in to lower levels. But board's kind of been tough on us so far this week. You look at your board, live cattle futures on the August contract. Monday was down 230. Tuesday was down 67 cents to end the day on Tuesday at 120.87. Your June spot live cattle futures at 127.50. So they're dropping too. Feeder cattle futures on the August contract. Monday was down 262. Tuesday was down $1.60, and your board had traded higher earlier in the day until right at the end of the session when everything tanked. But just kind of a tough start to the week there. But feeder cattle for August ending the day on Tuesday at 149.95, not even holding 150 anymore. And we know that contract has been as high as 163. So we've given up a lot of ground there, and here in another few weeks, your big grazers that's got big green yearlings to sell are going to wish they had a lot of that back. Of course, they already do. But your weighted average for last week's fed cattle trade in the 5 areas, 98,750 head. They traded a lot more cattle on Friday than most of us thought. Then was reported last week. Didn't find out about it till this week. So had a decent movement, and your market was a little uneven. You look at your live steers, they averaged 136.07 on a live basis. That's down 27 cents is all. But your dress steers averaged 218.36 up 236, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because your higher grading cattle are mostly in the northern plains. Most of your dress sales are in the northern plains. And so your live sales predominantly in the southern plains lost ground, but they were kind of battling for those better cattle on a dress basis north of I-70. But you look at this week, we've already seen some trade. Up in Nebraska, had a big string of cattle sell for 3 to 4 week delivery into July, into the month of July. At 132, so guys are thinking that the market's going down, so they're just bailing, which makes it that much tougher for the rest of the guys to hold things together. We saw on Tuesday a few sales in Kansas at 133, which will be $4 lower. Nebraska, we saw a few dress sales are already at 215, which would be $3 to $5 lower. So we know for absolute sure that the fat cattle trade is going to be lower, and it sure doesn't help whenever your feedlots start giving up crying uncle on a Monday or a Tuesday. But box beef cutout values on Monday were still climbing to new all-time record highs on some products. But by Tuesday, the market was starting to fade off, and we're expecting your box beef cutout values to start fading and continue fading probably till they hit bottom sometime and then start making a rebound there for your holidays at the end of the summer. But slaughter so far for the week, 234,000 through Tuesday. That's 1,000 more than last week, 12,000 more than the same week a year ago. The only hope we have to hold this fed cattle market together as we move on through the dog days of summer is our light carcass weights. And if you look at our carcass weights right now, sitting in the low 830s, that's 21 pounds lower than the same time a year ago, and 12 pounds lower than the same time for the 5-year average. So that's our ace in the hole there. And if you look, we've slaughtered a lot of cattle this year. 5.7% more cattle slaughtered so far this year than the same time last year. But your increase in beef production is only 3.8%. So that's how much difference that lighter carcass weight makes. And your packers still need cattle. They wouldn't be trying to secure cattle out front if they didn't know that they were going to need them. The captive supplies have been pretty light. We've had real good negotiated sales so far this year, and if If the feeders would still hold their feet to the fire, they may not be able to gain any more ground, but they wouldn't lose $4 or $5 on a early week trade. But you look at the drought conditions in the Dakotas. When's the last time you remember the worst two states for drought this time of year being North and South Dakota? Never, but they've sure had it rough up there. Just keep missing the moisture up there. But they did have some severe weather, went through the northern plains there, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and some of that moisture did move up through that area, and we hope that guys got some relief and will quit having to disperse of the herds and moving cattle around trying to hold on to things. But your real-time index so far this week, late Tuesday, was sitting at 147.57 based on an 800-pound steer. That's down 358 from just Monday and down 492 from the end of last week. Look at your early week sales. OKC or Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma National Stockyards there, 7,600 head on Monday. Feeders $2 to $5 lower. Heavy calves $1 to $5 lower. Joplin Regional Stockyards at 5,200 head. Your feeder steers were 3 to 6 lower. Feeder heifers 2 to 4 lower. Heifer calves 2 to 4 lower, but your steer calves that usually always sell real good in Joplin, $7 to $12 lower. If you look at the report there on Beef Market Central out of Joplin on Monday, you'll see that that was a market news call and a pretty conservative call. If you look at the losses on the right-hand side there, pretty severe drops there compared to the averages of last week. But keep in note that there were no big strings of steers this Monday like there was the prior Monday. And in fact, there was no straight loads of steers to be quoted there. And that makes a difference on your market. There were a few loads of heifers, but no loads of steers to really test the tops on the market. You look at Tuesday sales and a real light Tuesday around. Receipts are going to be extremely light in all your sale barns for the next 6 weeks or so. The only big decent sale we got left this week is at public auction yards in Billings, Montana on Saturday for the World Champion Livestock Auctioneer Contest, and they'll have 5,000 to 6,000 there. But it's always hard for guys to scrape a big sale together to host that thing in early to mid-June, but it's always a good sale. We're expecting a good sale up there, even though the market's a little bit lower. But OKC West, I'll have their calf sale on Tuesday, less than 2,000 head of calves there. And most of the calves selling $2 to $4 lower, which is fully expected. If you look at an individual quote from that sale in El Reno, 108 head of steer calves at 11:20 in the morning, weighed 455, bring $188. That's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you on Friday.